All right, hey everybody, welcome to Late Night at PCC. I'm Byron and Tyler. I'm the college union all package here. We want to thank you for all being in the live audience. We hear from the live audience already. All right. Everybody who's tuning online, we are so glad you jumped in or doing this right now. We've got a lot of exciting things that we're going to do here tonight. We got some cool interviews that are going to take place. And we're going to give a $25 gift card to the audience. Who in the audience wants to win a Papa John's gift card? Here's what I need you to do to win a $25 card. So, really simple thing. Get your phone out. And if you can get five people to get a shout out on our live feed of what's going to take place right now. 5 different people. Shout out to you personally. You'll get the $25 gift card. So the first one is to get 5 people to watch online and say, hey, Grant, I'm glad you're here tonight. Hey, Dylan, I see you. You look awesome. Or something. 5 different people. You think you guys can do that? Anybody do that? We've got some people working on it. All right, get working on that. This will be a chance for you to win $25 for Papa John's Pizza. If you do not follow us on Instagram or Facebook, the simple way to do that is PCC FWYA, which stands for Catholic Community Church, Fort Wayne, Young Adults. So PCC FWYA. And if you go to that, that's our Facebook page where this is streaming live, and also streaming live right now on YouTube. So you got a little bit of time to do that. I will be following the comment section. Oh, we got one comment already. Let's see who's on here. Oh, Tyler said yo. All right. So thanks for coming in, being a part of this. Hey, Colin, guess what?
You guys have friends. Come on, we need to see some comments.
Oh yeah, we got more people coming on in. Hey, I want to give you an update real quick. Update what's coming up. So September 4th, this Friday of Labor Day weekend, we're going to premiere the movie Mulan, which is brand new, coming to Disney Plus. It's not going to the movie theaters. It's going straight to Disney Plus for $30. I'm guessing most of you would not want to spend $30 to watch the movie, but we're all going to spend it. Well, we're going to spend the money, get the movie. We're going to watch it at our office in a brand new 4K HDR, 120-inch screen, full 7.1 Dolby surround system. So it'll feel like you're at the movie theater September 4th. Follow us on our social media. That's how you know more about that. September 10th, do not forget this day. Those of you online, don't forget this day. Come here in person. We're going to create live groups. We're so glad you can be a part of that. We want to see everyone in next small group. And that is going to be coming up. Hey, Colin, man.
Yeah.
Do we have a couple people here that we want to say hi to?
We do. Hey, everybody. So if you look off to this corner of the room, you'll see Taylor and Austin. They're going to be like part of
I'm
our.
going to interrupt you real quick, though.
Being interrupted.
I'm going to interrupt one more time.
Yeah,
There's a contest going on right now. If you can get 5 people to give shout outs to you online as they're watching this, 5 people, you win a $45 gift card to Papa John's Pizza. So right now, opportunity to get 5 people to get shout out online, and you'll get a $25 gift card to Papa John's Pizza. So take it away.
All right, now, okay, so if you again look back to this corner, we have Taylor and Austin. Everybody wave to Taylor and Austin. We're going to have them, they're going to kind of be like our young adult special guests on the show. We're going to try to do this every single week, get new people up here to just kind of share what God is doing in their life. But we like to have fun, we like to play games around here, we like to entertain you guys. And so we're going to have you guys actually come up and you're going to be like the stars of our game this week. It's going to be great. Everyone give a round of applause for Taylor and Austin. So, it's just good to see you guys. Well, what? You can take your mask off, that's fine, it's okay. You guys are going to need YouTube.
You guys might want to come over this way.
Alright. I just don't know what camera you want us to be in front
Let's go with that one.
Okay. So, can we get the slide going?
Oh, yeah.
Where we can explain what's going on? Okay, so how many of you guys have played Would You Rather before with somebody? Have you played Would You Rather? I mean, it's a fun game. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to test how well you guys can guess what this audience's preferences are. So we're going to have you try to guess what the audience prefers, majority. So it's this or that, but you got to know the room. So here's what's going to happen. Two things are going to pop up on the screen. When those things pop up, I will read them out loud to you. After I'm done reading, I will give the okay for the room to split to one side or the other. You will at this point have a blindfold on, and you will try to guess where the majority of the room is. Based on the would you rather question, it's 2 points if you can get where the audience is. It's 1 point if you can guess where your spouse is. Because while one person is up, the other person will be down here playing the game. So it's a competition between the two. You see who will get the most points. So, Austin, we're going to have you play first. Taylor, you're going to join the audience. So, you just go to whatever side of the room correlates with this thing. So let's get this on. Taylor, if you want to. Oh, actually, no, you'll be up first. So you got to put that on.
Hi, Taylor.
Am I participating in this?
If you want to, that's okay. Yeah, I'll have you out.
Okay.
All right, you got that blindfold on? All right. Turn around. Turn around. I'll guide you. Okay. So let's get the first prompt. So, would you rather walk around work or school for the whole day without realizing there is a giant brown stain on the back of your pants, or realize the deadline for that important paper/project was yesterday and you haven't really got much done on it? So you guys can stand up and go to which side you prefer. Try to be quiet so that he can't hear which side you guys are on. So you're just going to try to guess where the room is.
So it's the walking around school work all day with brown stain on your
Yep. Or the deadline. Okay. You may guess. Where do you think the audience is?
I would say
Brown stain.
And where do you think your wife is?
I would also say brown stain. All right. So keep the blindfold up a little bit if you can. The audience was actually on the deadline side, but your wife was on the brown stain, so you have 1 point. All right, turn around. All right, next prompt. Not have any hot water for your shower/bath, or not have a washer and dryer machine. You guys can switch up spots. Be quiet still. All right, you can go to the next slide. All right, Austin. So it's not a washer and dryer or no hot water for your shower. What do you think? Audience. The audience is going to be the washer and dryer. Yep. And then, what do you think your wife is? She would like to have hot water, so she'll probably go for the washer and dryer.
All right, why don't you be?
So this side is the washer and dryer, no washer and dryer, and this side the hot water. So what do you guys think? Do you think this is the majority side? I can't tell. All right, we'll give you 2 points for that because it's half. But you missed the point, so you're only at 3. All right, last one. Would you rather live isolated in the mountains, far away from any civilization, with only your immediate family, or live in a suburban neighborhood with only annoying neighbors?
that's a tough one. I have too much
All right, I'll give you another option, just for this one. If the room is split, you can say the room is split, if we can't tell. All right, what's your guess going to be?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the crowd very well.
You really just want to get your wife right.
Yeah, just try to
Figure out where your wife is.
She would be like a suburban, like annoying neighbors.
She is, yes. Where's the audience?
I would say they're in the same spot.
They're in the mountains. All right. So you win the game with 4 points. Let's welcome Taylor up, everybody.
All right, Taylor.
All right, Taylor. Let's see what you do. I'll see you for a second. Thanks for playing. You're going to be walking around now.
Somebody.
Okay.
It's really, I get this.
Yeah, but that's okay. The blindfold's cooler. All right, let's do the first round, Byron. Okay, would you rather be so afraid of heights that you can't go to the second floor of a building? Or would you rather be so afraid of the sun that you can only go outside when it's raining? All right, pick your sides.
But like I still, my bedroom's upstairs.
All right, where do you think Austin is?
I would say the second floor.
He is. Where do you think the audience is?
I would say the second floor.
Yes, everybody except for one person is gone to the second floor. So you're at 3 points. All right, let's see the next one. Okay, would you rather snitch on your best friend for a crime they committed, or go to jail for the crime that they committed? And for this instance, you can put spouse. Would you rather snitch on your spouse, or go to the crime? Go to jail for the crime.
So you committed you committed the crime?
No, your friend committed the crime.
Okay, and you're going to jail for that?
Yes.
Okay. I think the majority would snitch.
Yep.
And I think Austin would as well.
No, Austin's going to jail.
Oh,
I think he's going to jail for you too.
well, for me, but.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one is this. So you're at 5 points right now. That's pretty good. So here's the last question. Would you rather be married to a 10 with a bad personality, or be married to a 6 with a great personality? All right, let's figure out.
Poor Austin.
All right,
He doesn't know what to
so
do
let's
right
see what
now.
Austin thinks about marriage, okay? Where do you think Austin is? Do you think he's marrying a 6 with a great personality or a 10 with a bad personality?
Well, I think he's married to someone with a great personality. So
Guess where he's at right now?
I think it would be the 6 with a good personality.
He's actually camped right in the middle
Okay.
because he's got both. I mean, that's
Okay.
pretty great. And where do you think the audience is?
I think they're on the 6 with a good
They are, yeah. So you win, Taylor. Everyone give a round of applause for Taylor and Austin. Austin, you can come back up here, man.
Good job, Taylor.
Here, why don't you guys sit on this couch?
Hey, we'll give you guys a mic each. Hey, real quick here. Who was Brooke in the room? Brooke, you won. You won the $25 gift card. You got like 6 people to give you a shout out already. Awesome. Here you go. Oh, it didn't go far.
All right. Okay, guys. So today we have Taylor and Austin here, and one of the things we're talking about tonight is servant leadership and how we shouldn't always expect people to fill or serve us, but we should also be able to serve others. And one thing that is very important is marriage, and they're newlyweds. So the first question for you guys is, how long have you been married? So you get an idea.
Most 3 months.
3 months.
That's a big deal. That's a
Almost.
big deal, everyone.
All right. So as you've been navigating this new season of marriage, what have been some of the biggest obstacles and biggest challenges that you faced or adjustments?
We've been dating for almost 6 years now, so the adjustments weren't crazy. But definitely like making decisions not just for yourself anymore, have somebody that you make a decision for as well.
What's the biggest decisions involved?
Yes. Yes, and everyone's favorite. So, definitely like our family. They're both our parents they live in the same town. So when it comes to like holidays and things like that, it's a little difficult to separate that and just spend equal time with each family member. So it's a little bit of adjustment. It's going to be an ongoing adjustment. So.
Yeah. Did you have anything, Taylor?
No, I think the family aspect of the relationship is definitely difficult just because our families are great. We both love each other's families, but they're just so different. So understanding where his family comes from and my family comes from has definitely been something we've worked through over the years.
So even in like this case, it's not even just putting yourself down and your wants down for each other, but for each other's families, which is a big thing that we might not all consider. But my next question for you was, in marriage and in this process of trying to become more selfless and put each other first, what's been some of the things that have like motivated you to do that, or what keeps you going? Because I know it's not easy for sure.
I think it's just wanting the best for the other person. Recently I got a new job, which has been challenging, and sadly Austin has had to give up a lot of his freedom because I'm working from home and I'm teaching online. So he's got to be quiet all the time during the day.
No more streaming at Xbox.
He's moved his Xbox to like this little bathroom part of our bedroom now. It's kind of hard to explain. So I think like just him doing that, even though I haven't asked him to do that, like just that way I can have the best experience for my job to make sure that I succeed. Like I think just little things like that.
I would just say, just putting the other person first, sure that they're happy, neglected, and giving them the time that they need.
Yeah, because that's kind of what God calls us to do in marriage, and not just in marriage, but in the church, is putting each other's needs first, putting Him first and others, and then Himself. Really cool that you guys are doing that. But besides that, why do you think it is important to be selfless and put each other first in marriage?
Well, I think if you're not selfless, then it's really not a relationship. You're just a person that is just continuing to do what you want for yourself. And if you don't care about the other person, then it's kind of pointless for you to be in a relationship in the first place, because you're basically doing the same thing you would if you were single. So I think to be in a relationship, you have to put aside what you want to all the time and make sure that the other person's on board. And it's not always what Austin wants to do, it's not always what I want to do, but you have to compromise like you would in any other relationship that's not marriage.
Nicely said. Well, that was such good stuff. And my last question here is, if you have one piece of advice, because I think a lot of us are in a stage of life where we're going to be looking at getting married one day, or that might be the future. What would be your one piece of advice for people looking to get married?
Definitely somebody who has a lot of forgiveness in their life. All the times that I mess up and screw up in life, Taylor's always there to forgive me, gracious with me. So that's the for me.
I think definitely being honest from the start. That was something I was thankful that we did very early on. I think like 2 or 3 months after we started dating in high school, we were just honest with each other about like our future goals and about our past. And doing that earlier rather than later gave us a really clear decision-making process whether we wanted to continue the relationship or not. And so I think the sooner you can be honest and open, the better, because it definitely helped us, because it wasn't like 2 years into our relationship and bam, well, we have surprise. We knew what we were getting into early on, and I think just continuing to be honest, even if things get rough throughout the relationship.
Awesome. Can we thank Taylor and Austin for sharing that? Good stuff. And I think it's so cool that we're introducing this segment, because as the church and as a body, we're not only learning from preachers and teachers, but we're learning from each other. So it's awesome that we're all getting a chance to hear from you guys. Maybe one of you guys will join us in the next couple of weeks. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks again, guys. I'm sure we'll find out more in the next 6 months how things are going. And any kids on the way, by the way? I'm just.
Any
no,
Oh,
okay, all right. Well, you know, like you never know. I mean, it's possible now. So thanks again, guys. Everybody, give them a little applause for them. And, each week we want to interview someone who's a leader of our community, so you guys can learn from them and grow in our different experiences. None of us are perfect, but we have a lot of different people out there who have done some amazing things. And so in the past few weeks, we kind of brought in someone who is on staff here at Pathway, and I actually invited my good friend Tyler, who he's actually my boss. So I invited my boss on stage. This is Tyler Ward, he's the pastor of Adult Ministries here. So if you can get up for Tyler as he comes up on stage. And we're glad you're here with us. So I decided to do something this week where if you saw on Instagram, I found a challenge called the basketball, well, it's called the beer challenge, but I call it the root beer challenge just to be safe. But if you haven't seen this going around, people take a basketball, they put a can on it, and it's full, they drop it, and the impact of it puts all the force in the can, and it launches it like 15 feet in the air, and your goal is to catch it. Now, I thought, well, that'd be fun. We did that. So we did it on Instagram. We just showed part of it. We didn't show the results. So I figured we could save the results for now. And so, Tyler, before we did this, what were you thinking when I asked you to do this?
Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on your show. I mean, this is kind of like a lifetime dream right here, to show up and be with all of you and be broadcast all over the world tonight on this. So, well, I've known Byron for a long time, being on staff together. We've been on staff about the same amount of time, and I really wasn't surprised. He usually come up with all kinds of stuff that get us into trouble. So I was a little nervous. I thought that you'd probably do better than I would. But I'm not going to tell them what the results were yet.
Okay, all right.
Keep that.
So have you guys seen any of these videos of people doing this? Yeah, okay. Well, here's a real quick thing. I want to challenge you guys to make one yourself this week, and we will show them. So if you want to direct message us on Instagram or post it on your Instagram, let us see it. I'll record it, and I'll take the best ones and show them next week. So if you want to take that challenge, it can be really funny, or it can be really amazing that you actually catch it. So take the challenge. Stay away from beer, but you can do a lot of other things that are really fun. Maybe a rock star or something, and hopefully some good results happen. So I'll go first, and we'll show you what happens here. By the way, I didn't tell Tyler that the results of most of the videos I saw online were guys getting hit below the belt and doubling over.
Told me, yes,
yeah, I told him after we
fact.
did. Yeah, I was kind of hoping for something like that, but we'll see what happens. Here we go. Here's what happened when I did it. I mean, that thing has some hang time. I did not expect it that high. I thought I had it.
Dude, it's really like you.
Yeah.
But, I thought you were throwing it in my favor when I saw it.
No, I literally like something like the lighting or something went black, or I'm just really bad at the air.
Like a professional, like
Yeah.
40 years.
Instant fear.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Here's Tyler.
Don't doubt me. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt
Does he
me.
have this? Does he have this?
Come on! My kids were so disappointed in me when they saw how close I was, and then I lost it.
So you guys have the idea now. If you want to do the challenge this week, I will give another $25 gift card to Papa John's, whoever makes the best video.
Another $25 Papa John.
Yep. So whoever has the
I think Brooke, yeah, he can do that.
That'd be amazing.
He can do a lot of Papa John's.
so either funny or incredible success. So that's what we're going for. So Tyler, we brought you on here to talk about leadership and really about like how do you lead others when either you're at kind of the same level or, and I'm thinking of you guys as the emerging generation, you're college students, young adults, you're starting out somewhere brand new, and you may think you know more than everyone else. You may know more than everyone else, but no one's listening to you. So we wanted to get some advice on how you go about leading when you're starting out, you're brand new. And Tyler got thrown into a unique situation 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
A little over 2 years.
Yeah. So we had all of our adult ministry team. We were all at the same level. There was no like one person over the other. Well, Tyler got chosen to be the lucky one to now oversee all of us guys and gals who have been in ministry for like 10, 15 years. And now we report to him. And what were you thinking when that happened?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of a crazy transition. Ironically, almost all of you guys are older than I am too. So, No, I'm younger than him, right? Don't you think?
Definitely an appearance, probably. Brian's like a little kid at heart.
It's true. And mostly activity too. Most of what he does.
Yes, it's or break dialing people or whatever.
Exactly.
So, by the way, how old are you?
Yeah, so I'm 38.
38.
I don't feel that far away from all of you, but now I'm quickly realizing that.
So I've got 5 years left.
Yeah, so. Okay. Yeah, way down the road when I'm old like you.
It doesn't matter now when you get to like your late 30s.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
whatever.
yeah, that was a big change. I think, when I think back to being even just early 20s, so which is 15 years ago for me, which is hard to believe. I don't think I've ever been the kind of person that thought that I knew everything or that I was going to tell everybody how to do things because I did. But especially as I went through college and came out of studying things, I loved my college years because I felt like those were years where I learned how to learn and I started to love to learn. And as I learned things and thought about things, then I really started to like, well, man, I really do have a lot of answers. And that created challenges when I get out of college and you get into some different work experiences and life experiences, relationships with people, and the temptation is to think, man, I've got it all figured out. Once you think through things, if they'll just listen to what I think or what I know, then things will be okay. But life experience has a way of kind of knocking a lot of that out of you. And I think one of the things that we wanted to emphasize tonight, as Byron and I were talking before you guys introduced, is just the importance of gaining leadership and influence through humility and service and serving people and humbling yourself. And so even as I stepped into that unique relationship, I knew right away one of the things I was going to have to do was to not lead from a position of telling good leaders like all of you what to do, but using that opportunity as a leader to really serve you guys and try to humble myself and say, how can I help you guys in any way do what God's called you to do?
So what experiences did you have before this all took place that helped prepare you for that position?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think for me, so I knew when I was in college that I wanted to go into vocational ministry, like working in a church. And that's not for everybody, of course, but for me, I felt like that's the direction God wanted me to go. And I started out really young in some roles that were probably older than me by age. I ended up pastoring a church when I was 23. And at the time, as a 23-year-old, I felt like, well, I've got the same Bible that anybody else would use. I've got the same Spirit of God that's working in me. But one of the questions somebody asked me when I was interviewing for that is they said, we're your parents' age. And if we have marriage trouble, how are you, a 23-year-old, going to help us? I mean, you don't know what we've gone through and all those kinds of things. And at the time, I hated that question because I felt like they were right. There were some things that I lacked by experience, and there was nothing I could do to make up for that except just live and walk through life and have some experiences and those kinds of things. And so even though I felt like, hopefully I had things to give, I just realized early on that humility was going to be so important. And as I walked through a lot of those experiences and looked for ways just to humbly listen and learn from the experiences that I walked through, I could list a bunch of those, but it was just a lot of life experiences.
So starting out, being only 23 years old, I got a question for the audience here just to think about it by show of hands. How many of you are already in your first career job right now? Like you say, you just started your career job. Okay. How many of you feel like you can't wait to start your career job, your first one? Okay. And then the other question, how many of you feel ready for that job? Like when you graduate, you're ready. Okay.
That's my confidence too.
Well, they say emerging generation,
when they graduate from college, most of them say that they do not feel ready for their first job. And most employers actually say that most college grads are not ready for their first career job. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting dynamic where they say, hey, they don't feel ready, and employers are saying they're not ready. So my question to you, you're 23 years old, starting out in ministry, leading a church where there are a bunch of 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, even 80-year-olds there who have a lot more experience and wisdom than you. What were the things that you took away from that experience that helped you grow as a leader?
Sure. One of the things that I feel like served me well in that season of my life and really has continued to serve me well in most seasons, and one of the things I encourage all you guys with too, is I think many times one of the best ways to lead is to lead with our ears and through our listening. And there's a pastor that many of us were influenced by years ago. Most of us didn't know him personally, but just through his ministry and things. He talked about how if any of us were armed with enough humility, we could really learn something from anybody. And I think that's really important to have that kind of posture. For me, early on too, even though I didn't have it all figured out, and experience definitely tested this and grew this in me, but I don't know where everybody's at with regard to Jesus and how you think about him and what kind of relationship you have or don't have with him. But as someone who has put my trust in him and is following after him, I try to lean into his example and the things that we saw, and believing him to be not only a person who came into the world and do what he did, but God himself. I just felt like if I was going to follow any example into the right way of doing things, it was going to be his. And listening and humility and sacrificially serving were just things we see all throughout his life.
So if any of you guys have ever played on a team before, you know that there's a captain, there's a coach. And one of the things I learned a long time ago was that in Europe, in professional soccer, the captain and coach are responsible for cleaning the locker room. It's kind of interesting because you would think that it would be the players. But one other interesting fact is that they never have to clean it, because the players don't want to ever have to have their coach or captain clean the locker room. And so that's kind of an interesting posture they take, that they know that they respect him so much. So what's interesting is when you serve and you humble yourself, you would think that you would actually lose credibility, but actually it gains credibility. Do you have any stories in which you've taken the low road and you've humbled yourself that's actually helped you gain credibility with people? Like any personal stories you can think of?
That's a great question. I'm sure there are some different examples. Again, I know life stage may not relate specifically to all of you guys. As a dad now with kids, I feel like that's one of the areas that's most pressing for me with that. I think when I really leverage my role in their lives and whatever authority I have as a dad with them, to serve them and to help them become who God made them to be and all that they were made to be, there's a way that that's gained credibility. I think you guys, Taylor and Austin, are doing a good job of kind of teeing that up as it relates to marriage. Same thing with that with Natalie, that when I'm really seeking to serve her and humble myself and not just be served by her, that earns tremendous credibility. And so those are pressing examples. I think any job I've ever worked, that's certainly been the case. Any team I've ever been a part of, sports teams, project teams, all that kind of stuff. Anytime I'm in those settings, whenever you live that way, it truly does.
Yeah, how many of you guys have roommates? You got roommates in here and everything? You guys figured out a schedule of who's going to clean the dishes yet? I find that usually is like one of the biggest arguments a lot of times with roommates. When I was a junior in college, I had 3 other guys I lived with, and I hated doing dishes so much, I bought paper plates so that I would never have to do any dishes. And then I see some people like, that's what we do. Yeah, The bad part is, what I didn't realize was if I would just humble myself and actually clean the dishes for my roommates, I would have had a lot more credibility and influence in their lives. But instead, I was awfully stubborn and refused, even to where I got plastic forks and
knives, so I could throw everything away. So I never had to wash a single thing. And I was like, yeah, I look back at that and I'm like, that's an example of just blowing it big time when it comes to servant leadership. Has there ever been an instance in your life where you just blown it?
Oh yeah, sure, plenty of those too. And again, I think the most pressing illustrative examples probably for me in the last number of years have been with my family, but there were moments where I was on teams, again, playing sports when I was coming up through school and all that, where the hard part in some of those competitive environments is it seems like the right way forward is to promote yourself, to advance yourself, to advocate for yourself. And certainly our world pushes us in that direction too. When you think even about things like social media and all that kind of stuff, I mean, the whole message is like, build a platform for you. Let people know who you are and define yourself for them. So I've definitely fallen into those traps like anybody. But thankfully, I haven't had any like terribly destructive experiences, but enough to know that that's not a productive way for me or for any of us. But
Yeah, that makes sense. So let's get down to like, what are some core? Did I see you write your Bible notes?
I did, and I got to bring.
You are a pastor. You got to have some of that
That's
stuff
right.
there.
That's right.
So what are some like core biblical truths that you hold on to that like have helped shape some of the stuff?
Yeah, well, I mentioned to you guys again, I don't know what you all think about Jesus. I think Jesus as a person and as an example for us is someone that even if you're not sure he's the Son of God or that he did all the things that we as Christ followers believe that he did, I think there's still great things to learn from his life. But if you are a follower of Jesus, by definition, what that means is he is our example. He's the one we're learning from. And so many of the things that I try to hold on to with leadership and with servant leadership, again, are just direct things from Jesus. And one of the most compelling examples for him happened on actually the night that he was going to be arrested and crucified on the cross. He gathered his closest friends close with him, and they didn't know all that was coming, but he did. And he did something unthinkable in that day. He was their kind of leader. They were following after him. And one thing a leader like that definitely didn't do was one of the dirtiest jobs of the day, which was to wash people's feet. And Jesus, to all of their shock and surprise, did just that. And none of them had done that for each other, but Jesus, he gets up and he puts a towel around his waist and he washes their feet, and they're just in awe. And Jesus goes on to say, listen, I've done this as an example for you, because the world's going to tell you that life is found in the exact opposite when other people wash your feet. But I'm here to tell you and to show you that actually the best kind of life in real life is going to be found when you decide to humble yourself and serve others and wash theirs. And he actually goes on later to say from that, the one command that he gives us that kind of replaces in a way everything else that we might read in the Bible is that in the same way that he's loved us, we should love one another and serve one another in that way. And so that has always been so powerful. There's a description of Jesus that some of his early followers provided for us in the Bible, where it says that even Jesus, God himself, didn't come to be served, but to serve others, to lay down his life, to be a ransom for others. And I think the example of Jesus is so powerful because I think he shows us that if we want influence, we should humble ourselves and serve. But also, when we have influence, we should humble ourselves and serve. And it's challenging and compelling, but I think that's the best way for us to live.
And that's just amazing truth there. I think it's one of those things that's hard for us sometimes. We want to get our influence and make people kind of listen to us and do what we say. And we have this idea of the way things should be, but we don't realize that for people to follow us and to actually listen and want to really have what Jesus has for us, they have to see that we're willing to sacrifice, sacrificially and extravagantly. It's actually the way to the top in people's lives. That if you want to have influence, you have to sacrificially and extravagantly serve one another. So, Tyler, you've been around for a while, and you see a young crowd here of the next generation, and you got a couple young leaders here on stage with us. I'm curious if you have any questions for Mo and Colin to maybe help you with thinking about something maybe when it comes to leadership and what they're going through and how we can better serve them.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I have for you guys, I thought about with this is, have you seen any, like, as you're looking ahead, or people that have come before you, any examples of people that come to mind that have either done this really well and just have really modeled what that looks like to live that way, or have leveraged their leadership and authority in your life for your good, like they serve you with that? Or maybe somebody that, you don't have to share names, but maybe an example of someone that didn't do that so well that sticks out to you.
Oh, you can't say my name.
Yeah. So I've been in workplaces where the bosses weren't so great, and I know all of you probably had instances where somebody's not been that great, but one of the most profound things that I've ever seen wasn't necessarily done for me, but it was an example I never expected to see happen. The CEO of business, I was in the bathroom, and there was a mess, and he just started cleaning up the mess of the bathroom. I'm like, I can't believe this. Like, this is like the CEO of this organization cleaning a facility and a mess that he didn't even make himself. I've seen them pick up trash and put them in trash. This is it's just so strange to see that. But I'm assuming you also want something specifically that the leaders designed for me. I think the most powerful thing, probably a lot, but I think the most powerful thing that's happened to me was, I remember having a conversation with my dad a while ago, and I said, wouldn't it be great, like, if just an adult that's wise, just mentor me and spend time, invest in me. My dad's like, no leader that's like really successful is gonna be able to take time out of the day to spend time with you. And God has proved my dad wrong time and time again. God has continually put leaders who would spend time with a silly guy like me. I mean, I know that's hard to believe, but like, I think that's one of the greatest things a leader can do is invest personally in the next generation.
Yeah, for me, I'd say in any areas of life, when I see people step out in a certain role, it's always stuck with me and been one of the most inspiring things in my faith personally. But I can think of an example even more recently. I went on this trip with 3 friends. It was somebody my age. She's one of the most like deep people I know, and one of the most serving people I know. And we would be like hiking or anywhere in public, and we would just find little ways to serve random strangers. Like asking if you take their picture with them, or just checking on them who you're doing. It would make all these deep connections through that. And one instance specifically was we were at a hotel, and the front desk lady was trying to miss in and the pizza. And he was just like, "Do you want a piece of our pizza?" Like, just out of nowhere. And she seemed so relaxed. She's like, "No, like, you have so much extra." And she's like, "You know what? I haven't eaten anything today." And we had this whole long conversation just off of him offering her his pizza. And it ended up by the end of the night, we got so much to pray over her. And to hear a little bit about her testimony, and it just really touched her. And they ended up connecting over, we all ended up connecting over social media, and she made a post about us, and she's like, you should be kind to everyone you come in contact with, even if they're a stranger. So I just had that happen today. 3 other adults really touched me, and like, it just made my day. It was super cool to see that. It really inspired me to be the best servant I can, because I think people notice that more than and that's one of the best ways to be a leader. That's what God calls us to do first and foremost, with the role. Put yourself behind others. God first, others, and us. So that has really something.
What do you guys, what's in your own life and own experience, what tends to be easier with this, and what are some areas where it tends to be more difficult to practice what we're talking about?
Oh man. I think when I'm busy and I have like my own agenda, like if there's something that I'm like really trying to do, like when I come home from work and I'm just all I want to do is relax, it's a lot harder to serve. Then if I like wake up with the mentality, oh, I don't have that much to do today, I want to see how I can serve you and my wife. So like I think like when I would go to school and I'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna keep Peter studying and I'm gonna leave, or I'm just trying to do my own thing. I think it's harder for me to get out of my own space to really serve people when I'm more thinking about myself and what I want to do. So, I would say.
Mhm. Yeah, I have to agree with that. I feel like it's easiest in a situation where you're like intending to serve. So, like, for example, for me with small group meeting and impact, I'm there to serve, so it's so easy for me to serve. But when it's like my family or people I'm closest to, it's so easy to get self-centered. But I can take that step further with my church family. Like I feel like a lot of us go in church thinking like, what can they do for me, or how can they pour into me, instead of really thinking, how can I step out and serve the church? You know, how can I be a servant leader and help make this ministry better, or this small bit better, or in somebody, you know?
Great perspective.
Yeah, I think that's so, again, kind of what we said earlier, and this is for all of us, that when we're looking to, like in some seasons of life, we're looking to gain leadership, we're looking to gain influence, and kind of like your example of the person who ended up posting about you guys making a difference in their day and all of that. That's how we do that. And again, the world will tell us just the opposite. It will kind of push us in another direction of trying to advance ourselves and promote ourselves. But that's really the way we gain that. And then once we have it, that's also the way that we leverage that by taking whatever leadership or influence we've gained and using that for the benefit of other people.
I think it's so confused sometimes about the church being in a building. And like, we talk about a lot with the pandemic, it's not, because we didn't have our building for a long time. But it's really what we're doing outside of the building that I feel like is the most impactful as far as church goes. And serving is like the number one way to do that.
Well, hey, we want to close up here, but before we do, one of the things I want to give you guys an opportunity is we want you guys to be able to ask questions. So this is your opportunity. I'll walk around with the mic. If you have a question about leadership, you want to ask Tyler something, you can ask any of this on stage, but mostly call me Tyler. If you have something you want to ask, I mean, you got a situation of work, whatever it may be, or how do you lead in this way or that way, we want to give you guys that opportunity. So if you guys have a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'll come by with the mic, and I would love to, we'd love to hear from you and get your guys' perspective on some of that stuff. Anyone have a question? Someone.
Be brave.
Not everybody at once, please.
We're gonna get out 3 Papa John gift cards. There is a thing. We'll make it 4. Come on, guys.
All right.
Okay, I'll be honest, this is my first time here.
Well,
Okay, I'll be honest, this is my first time here, like, I don't even know anybody's name here.
Thanks for being here.
Nice to meet you. My name is Shus. Anyways, my name is Shus, obviously, I'm sorry. Hi. It's my first time here. The only person that I know here, like, you're actually me. It's the first time you guys and how did you guys become a part of this church? Like, how did you guys discover it?
Are you curious about that for us or for this community of people that are here
You
tonight?
guys, like, before, how did you guys?
Are you like, how do you get involved?
No, like, okay, I guess kind of.
how did you find out about Pathway? How did you start coming to
Yeah,
Pathway?
yeah.
Well, you guys answer that.
That's a great question, I think, yeah.
I was invited by a friend, and like you, back sophomore year of high school, and then I got involved in Impact, high school ministry, and yeah, the rest is history. I loved it.
Yeah, so I've been coming to Pathway for a really long time. But I think even going back to this whole serving thing, it's so easy just to come to church and just consume. Like, I'm just going to go into a church and I'm just going to keep church hopping until I find the church that suits all of my needs, and I'll just go to a ton of them. Like, it's really easy to get in that mentality. But I think what really helped me solidify my place here at Pathway was Byron inviting to invest in me and to say, you know what, like, Colin, I want to actually help you become a leader. I don't want you to just be a consumer for the rest of your life. Like, I want to help you just develop leadership principles. And so through his commitment, I think coming and just repeated investment from him is what's kept me coming here at Pathway. So Thank you.
Anybody else got a question? Come on, someone gonna have a question.
One of the things I'm curious with all of you guys, so help me understand like stage of life a little bit. I don't know the right questions to ask with that, but like, or help me orient I don't know how, like what your ages are, or who's in college, or who's not in college, post-college, working, married. What's the demographic?
Everyone answer.
All right, you're good. Who's in college? Raise your hand. Okay. Who's out of college? Raise your hand, or grad school. Okay.
Oh, right.
So we're about 50-50.
We didn't go.
Who didn't go to college? Okay, who's not in college? All right, yeah.
Perfect.
So how many of
You
you
guys are married. Anyone else married or engaged or anything? Want to be? Okay, yes. Okay.
So who here is from the Fort Wayne area? Okay, who's
Okay.
not from the Fort Wayne area? Yeah. So I mean, it's
So
a
those are
wide
not from the
mix
Fort Wayne.
here.
You're coming to school in Fort Wayne. Some of you. Okay, great. That's cool.
So yeah, I mean, anybody else? We'll do it one more time. Give you guys one more chance to ask a question.
Man, I saw your hand go up. You want to ask a question?
Oh, it was right when you guys started and she didn't introduce herself. So I don't know.
Oh,
My name's Mariah, everyone calls me.
that's it. Yeah, I don't think, did we introduce ourselves? I'm not. That
Sorry
was kinda
about
late.
that.
Well, we're not gonna.
Yeah, you got another question?
Well, do you guys work here? Do you intern? Do you volunteer?
That's a great question. Yeah, I work here now. I'm in a residency. Yeah. So I'm getting my master's in ministry, and I served here in my college ministry for like, I don't know how long was that?
It's been 3 years.
It was a long time.
2-3 years.
Long time. And then I was offered a chance to work here while I'm in school. And she's just a great volunteer.
Yeah, I don't work here. I'm not resident or anything. I go to school, study journalism. Serve some way. Yeah.
All right, if there are no other questions, going once, going twice.
Hey, can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't interrupt you, but so as I think about all of you and the stages of life that you're in, one of the phrases that I wish I would have learned earlier in my life, or just kind of concepts that I'll just pass along in light of all this, is the phrase hero maker. And we've started talking about that with just our team and what we're trying to do together, but also what we're trying to do in relationships with other people. But again, the world, in so many ways, we're people that love stories. We love stories with heroes. We're conditioned with so many of those stories to try to be the heroes of our own stories or everybody else's story. And yet, I think a more significant and profound way to live our lives and to leverage our leadership and influence is to try to be a hero maker. So we build platforms for other people to stand on. We leverage whatever we've been given, not just for ourselves, but for other people. And I wish that when I was, again, thinking back to my, late teens, early 20s, mid 20s, I wish I would have wrapped my head around that a little bit more and set out to do more of that, because I found life is way more fulfilling when I leverage whatever I've been given and opportunities to try to help people maximize what they've been given and their opportunities. And so whatever that looks like for you as you navigate the next season of your life, I wish I would have had that as a tool in my tool belt. I don't wear a tool belt ever, but as something to leverage in my life.
That's good. Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate you taking time to be here with us. Hey, again, if you're here for the first time, if you took one of these papers here, on the back, it kind of explains what PCC Young Adults is about. I'd love to go over that with you if you have more questions. I'm not going to take that time here to go through all of it. But we really want to create community for you guys. And this is just a tool using to help you as leaders because we believe in you. And we want you the tools and faith to be successful in whatever avenue of life you go into. So each week we're going to bring on a leader and give you guys a chance to talk to them, interview them. We're going to bring in some young adults each week and talk about what's going on in their life. And then starting September 10th, we'll create life groups, which is what we're really about. which for you guys to be in small groups in community, to be able to dive in deeper and have a leader there to be one of your peers to dive in deeper in a Bible study of some type, and you'll meet off-site somewhere. That'll be starting September 10th. We'll meet here, help you form those groups. And then we also want to have fun. And we're going to have events that are going to take place throughout the semester in which we're going to get together. And we're just going to hang out, like September 4th, reminder again. We're going to do Friday night. We're going to watch Mulan, the brand new movie, and have a movie night, have a big theater system hooked up so you guys can enjoy that without having to go to theater and all that kind of fun things. We'll do open volleyball nights. We're going to do a Thanksgiving feast, just going to be a bunch of things that we're going to do. And we'll let you guys know about that as it comes up. Best way to follow is PCCFWYA. That's our Instagram account. I'll let you know what's going on. And then tonight, when we close up here in just a minute, we're going to go to Dairy Queen here on Coldwater Road. We're just going to hang out. There'll be a way for you to meet everybody in this room. You don't have to buy anything, but if you want to get something, feel free to get something. We're going to hang out, get to know one another. That's where we're going to help develop friendships and for you guys to get connected even more. And like what could potentially be a small group is to get to know everyone. I know there are a lot of new people in this room, and that's a great way for you to meet someone new and find out about what's going on in their life and to connect and maybe someone to hang out with on the weekends and stuff like that. So we just want to thank you guys for being here. We're going to close up the online part of things, and we'll get ready here in a few moments and head to Dairy Queen. If you're online, feel free to just stop by and hang out with us there at Dairy Queen on Coldwater Road. Thanks for being here, and it was fun just doing life and talking about leadership with you. All right, we are done.
Yeah.